Hello, and welcome back to Divorce in Plain English UK. I'm Vincent, and this is Chapter 4. In the last chapter, we talked about the family home, usually the biggest and most emotional asset in a divorce. Today we're going to look at something that often gets ignored, even though it can be just as valuable, or sometimes worth even more than the house. That's pensions. For a lot of people, pensions feel vague and far away. You might be thinking, I just need to get through the next 6 months. I'll worry about retirement later. But when you're going through a divorce in England and Wales, pensions are part of the same financial pot as everything else. If you ignore them now, you may be walking away from a huge part of your future security. Quick reminder before we dive in, I'm speaking from my own experience and from general information. I'm not a solicitor or a financial advisor. This is not legal or financial advice. Your situation will be unique, and you should always speak to a professional about your own case. Let's start with the basics. A pension is simply money set aside for your retirement. In divorce, we're usually talking about 3 main types of pension. The first is workplace pensions. These are the schemes you pay into through your job, often with your employer contributing as well. You might have several of these from different jobs over the years. The second is personal pensions, or self-invested pensions that you've arranged yourself outside of an employer. The third is defined benefit or final salary pensions, often from the public sector or older company schemes. These can be extremely valuable, even if the annual statement doesn't look impressive at first glance. When a marriage ends, all of these pensions, whether in your name or your ex's name, can be relevant to the financial settlement. It doesn't matter whose name is on the paperwork. What matters is that they were built up during the relationship. In many marriages, especially where one partner has taken time out to raise children or work part-time, pensions are very unequal. One person may have built up a decent pot, while the other has very little in their own name. If you are the one with less pension, it can be tempting to focus only on keeping the house or getting enough cash, and to let the pension go because it seems complicated. If you're the one with the larger pension, you might feel anxious that your future is at risk. In my own situation, despite the fact that I work 7 days a week, the only pension I have is from the part-time job I did at weekends. That means my pension is very small. I don't have savings or investments sitting in the background. On paper, my future doesn't look great. It can feel like there is nowhere to turn, and it raises very real questions in your mind. Do I still need to share this small pension with my ex? What will the court expect or suggest in a situation like mine? These are the kinds of questions that keep you awake at night. Broadly, there are 3 main ways pensions can be dealt with in a UK divorce. The first is pension sharing. This is where the court makes a pension sharing order, and a percentage of one person's pension is transferred into a pension in the other person's name. It doesn't come out as cash into your bank account now. It goes into a pension pot for your retirement. The advantage is that it gives a clean break. Each of you ends up with your own pension rights going forward. The second is pension offsetting. This is where one person keeps more of the pension and the other person receives more of a different asset instead, often more equity in the house or more savings. On the surface, this can feel tidy. You keep your pension, I'll keep more of the house. But the value of a pension and the value of a house are very different things, and they behave differently over time. You need a realistic, informed view before agreeing to this. The third is pension attachment, sometimes called earmarking, where some of the pension benefits are paid to an ex-spouse when the pension is eventually taken. This is less common now and has some drawbacks because it keeps you financially tied together. One of the most important steps with pensions is simply getting the information. You cannot make fair decisions if you don't know what you're dealing with. That means asking each pension provider for an up-to-date statement. For defined contribution pensions, you'll usually see a current transfer value. For defined benefit pensions, it's often called a cash equivalent transfer value, or CETV. This number is not perfect, but it's a starting point. Sometimes, especially with larger or more complex schemes, A specialist report from a pension on divorce expert will be recommended. If you're listening to this and thinking, I don't even know who my ex's pension providers are, you're not alone. This is exactly the kind of thing that comes out in financial disclosure. You are each expected to provide details of your pensions, as well as your income, property, savings, and debts. In the Financial Remedy Roadmap, I walk through how to list these pensions, how to request statements, and how to store the information so you don't get overwhelmed. The goal is not to turn you into an expert, but to make sure you are not blindly signing away something that could be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds over your lifetime. Pensions can feel especially abstract if you're younger or if retirement seems a long way off. But think about it this way. The decisions you make now will affect whether you have choices later on. Will you be able to slow down in your 60s? Will you be able to help your children or grandchildren? Or will you be forced to work longer than you want to because you walked away from pension rights you didn't really understand? If you are the one with the smaller pension, it is important not to dismiss it just to get the divorce over with quickly. I completely understand the urge to be done, to move on, to avoid more conflict. But a few extra months or a few extra conversations now can make a huge difference to your long-term safety. If you are the one with the larger pension, it's natural to feel protective of it. You might feel like, I worked for this, why should I share it? The hard truth is that in a long marriage, the law often treats the building up of pension rights as a joint achievement, especially if the other partner supported you by looking after the home or children. That doesn't mean your pension will automatically be split down the middle, but it does mean it will usually be part of the discussion. You do not have to become an expert in pension law to get through this. What you do need is the right information, a basic understanding of the options, sharing, offsetting, or attachment, and good advice tailored to your situation. If all of this feels overwhelming, you're not alone. I've been there looking at statements and legal letters and wondering how on earth I was supposed to make sense of it all while still working and trying to hold myself together. If at any point you feel stuck or you just want to talk this through with someone who has been there, you can reach out to me directly via the contact details on my Gumroad page. I'm more than happy to speak with you and share my opinions or views based on my own journey. Just so we're clear, I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you legal advice. I can only speak to you from my own personal experience of going through divorce and dealing with the financial side of it. In the Financial Remedy Roadmap, I dedicate a full section to pensions, including checklists of what to ask for and what to look out for when you see those statements. It's all about turning something vague and scary into something you can at least look at calmly and discuss with your solicitor or advisor. To recap this chapter, pensions are often the hidden asset in a divorce, sometimes as important as the family home. In England and Wales, they are usually part of the same pot the court looks at. The main tools are pension sharing, pension offsetting, and, less commonly now, pension attachment. Before you agree to anything, make sure you have up-to-date information and proper advice, so you're not giving up long-term security just to get through the short-term crisis. In the next chapter, we'll bring the pieces together and look at how all of these elements, the house, pensions, income, and other assets, feed into the idea of a fair overall settlement, and how you can prepare yourself emotionally and practically for negotiations. Thank you for listening to Divorce in Plain English UK. If this episode helped you, please subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit. And if you want a calmer, more organized way to approach the money side of your divorce, you can find my ebook, The Financial Remedy Roadmap, on Gumroad at https://shinajams.gumroad.com/l/drdgzb. I'll talk to you in the next episode.